10 of the worst mistakes you can make in TBC Classic. All right, let's look at this. This could be funny. Okay.
Alright guys, and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be covering the top 10 most common mistakes new players will make in TBC Classic.
Okay.
By avoiding these mistakes, you will save yourself hours and hours playtime and probably quite a lot of gold. If you guys want to catch my live streams for some TBC raiding, please be sure to give my Twitch a quick follow in the description. But anyway, let's jump into the video. First point on this video, Sha'tar Reputation Mistakes. Everyone is probably going to make this mistake.
How are you going to do that?
But do not, under pain of death, do any Sha'tar quest or Tempest Keep dungeon until you are honoured with the Sha'tar, apart from the Karazhan achievement run.
Yeah,
but
why?
You're thinking, you know, Metagoblin, bruv, I need those rep items as soon as possible. Why would you tell me not to farm Sha'tar rep? And the reason is because every time you turn in a Scryer or Aldor rep item, you gain 50% of the rep gained secretly as Sha'tar rep. It doesn't actually appear on the screen that you get the rep, but if you look at your reputation bar, it will increase and it will go all the way up until honoured by using this method. You can farm Aldor
that's actually,
or Scryer rep with...
That's actually smart. Like, okay, so we saved that item. We saved that stuff. This is already a good video.
Items like Sunfury Signets and Fell Elements that can be found in the open world and in dungeons. You will need to grind this reputation anyway because you will need the shoulder enchant, so you may as well kill two birds with one stone. But when you're honoured, that's when you can start to do the quests in Neverstorm, do the key quest for the Alcatraz, and then just do your standard normal rep runs. The next big mistake people make is picking the incorrect Sha'tar City reputation, which is obviously either the Aldor or Scryer reputations. The reason why people make mistakes of this is because they look at the short-term rewards that you get from the reputation rewards at honoured and revered, and then they just go for that. Whereas you need to be thinking more long-term because you are going to replace those items probably very quickly in tier 4 and tier 5 raiding. And then you want the best in slot shoulder enchants. It's also important to note that the Shattered Sun Exalted Necklace rewards will give you different benefits, different proc effects, depending on whether you have Aldor or Scryer reputation at Exalted. I will make a more detailed video.
That's crazy. I actually forgot all about that necklace. That's fucking cool, man. So, I guess for me, I don't really give a fuck because I have to do Nax for my enchant. Like, Nax is my best enchant. Yeah, like, the Saffron enchant's better. So it doesn't matter which one I go.
Single class, but honestly, for the majority of people,
I'll show y'all after
if
this.
You're thinking long term and you're really maxing, the best option to go for literally every single class is to go for Aldor. So first of all, we have the healer option. I definitely recommend going Aldor because you get more healing power with the shoulder enchant, and in the long term that's going to be better because let's be honest, if you're running out of mana, you're a bad healer, and if you're stacking mana potions and everything like that, in the long term you will not need that MP5. The healing power will be better and will probably be better for PvP too. When it comes to caster DPS, flat spell damage is simply always better. It just simply provides more simulated DPS than the stacking crit, so really should always just go for the spell damage option, and the Aldor provides the best spell damage option. Obviously Scryer has better short-term rewards like the blood gem and everything like that, and the difference between the shoulder enchant
Scryers is for losers.
is not that huge, to be honest, so you know, you make up your own mind about that, but you will replace that blood gem pretty quickly. For the hunter it's the same story. Flat out attack power will just provide more DPS. The Aldor enchant provides more attack power and also gives pretty good short-term rewards for a hunter. For melee DPS it's the same thing. Aldor provides more attack power, which will be better, especially because melee DPS have critical strike hit soft caps and everything like that. So in the long term, flat attack power is always going to be better, plus the necklace on the Aldor side is much better too. When it comes to tanking, the value of defense rating after you've got the hit cap starts to be, well, just worse than flat out.
Wait, this is dog shit ass garbage. What the fuck? Who the fuck would want that trash? Look at it again. 15 defense? 15 defense? Who gives a fuck about 15 defense? Dude, fuck defense. Fuck dodge. Like, I'm gonna get the Saffron shoulder enchant. Yeah, defense these nuts. Yeah, true. Listen, it doesn't matter. Like, you don't need to be defense capped. Like, that's a meme. Like, listen, think about it like this. People were not defense capped at all. Like, people tanked all of Classic WoW, dual wield fucking tanking, not defense capped, and it was fine. Like, you watch whenever I tank and I don't have to worry about anything, man. Crushing blow, That's not going to happen to me, man. That won't happen to me.
After you've got the hit cap, starts to be, well, just
Watch.
worse than flat-out avoidance stats like dodge, block, and parry. So it's always better to just stack the pure avoidance stats. Anyway, let's move on to point number 3. We're going to have a round off of all the dumb dungeon mistakes that new players are going to make.
Okay, what are they?
So mobs in a Burning Crusade, and I'm talking trash mobs in dungeons, will absolutely catch you off guard and easily wipe the group because of their really goofy and irritating mechanics. First thing to note, if you're ever doing Shattered Halls, Shadow Labyrinth, or Steam Vaults, you will definitely, and I mean definitely, need a class that can crowd control, preferably a mage, because there are some extremely huge pulls. Look at this pull in Shattered Halls, look how many mobs there are. You will need to pull all this in one go.
It's simple. You basically, here's how you deal with it. You get all 6 of those mobs together, and then you AoE on top of the mobs, and then they all die. That's the way it works. Yeah, just have full tier 3. Like, just have full tier 3, and you'll be fine. Like, it's not complicated or hard to do. Like, these mobs have one mechanic.
Need a lot of CC. The Blood Warders in Botanica will pop a spell reflect, which actually go on to multiple different enemies.
Oh,
right?
yeah!
And if a Warlock casts Seed of Corruption on that reflect, the Seed of Corruption will reflect onto the Warlock, and if 2 Warlocks do it, it will just explode and entirely wipe the group. It goes without mentioning that CC will be reflected, and dots will be reflected and everything awkward like that, so a lot of the time the spellcasters honestly can't do that much. So yeah, casters should probably just use their wand on those enemies, or if you're playing a balanced druid, just go into cat form or something like that. The Alcatraz...
Just don't attack into the thing. Like, just don't attack into the shield. Like, or spam, like, low ranks into the shield and break the shield. Like, I don't know about that.
Sentinels in Alcatraz have a constant flowing chain lightning ability.
Yeah, anybody in melee range.
Which the tank can just about deal with. Melee DPS, just forget about it. Stand out and fight to live another day. The Death Watchers in this dungeon will wipe the entire group if you don't kill them fast enough. And also remember to kill the corpses because they continuously spawn protein horrors, which will very likely attack the healer, and that can be very difficult to deal with.
I didn't remember that at all.
The technicians in Blood Furnace will throw mines at you, and they can very easily one-shot you on heroic mode, so be careful of that.
Those are actually
Never
really
kill
bad.
The slaves in slave pens or underbog because they will go passive when the leader is killed. So yeah,
I knew
just
about
kill
that
the
one.
leader with single target damage and don't bother doing any AoE. In Shadow Labyrinth, remember to pull the Fell Overseer back because he will fear the tank, and then you'll just pull all those mobs in the room, so you got to pull that one back.
I forgot
also
about
remember in Shadow Labyrinth and Mana Tombs to clear the whole room of the first,
because it aggroes the boss. The boss aggroes everything.
And the first boss for Mana Tombs. Otherwise, if you pull that boss, all the mobs in the entire room will pull too.
Also, like a bit of information about that is that there are invisible rogues in that room. I think there's 2. There's 1 rogue on each side, and they're like behind the like mistresses, and you have to make sure to get them too. They ambush. Yeah, you have to make sure you're ready for that. But like again, this is why you have somebody like me, a dungeon master, that knows how to do all of this stuff. And I don't make these kinds of mistakes. I'll just know exactly what to do whenever we do and make the right decisions. And yeah, I'm basically Gandalf. Like, I know where everything is. I know what to do. I know the mechanics. It's like, oh, I remember this boss. It's like, okay, we have to go this way. And, you know, like, that's basically that's my job.
Off point, do not forget to grind up your defense skill as a hunter or a caster. Everyone else probably already has it maxed out, especially if you leveled as Enhancement Shaman.
Probably.
But anyway, a caster without max defense skill will get one-shotted on a rare occasion that they pull aggro.
Oh, from crushings.
Especially if you have your threat dropping ability.
That's why you need.
Cooldown.
That's why you need max defense.
Sometimes
max
it's
defense
actually
is so
totally
important.
unavoidable because, for instance, the ogres in Gruul's Lair and Kargath Bladefist, the last boss of Shattered Halls, will charge random members of the group and inflict critical, life-threatening melee damage, basically one-shotting melee damage, if you do not have your defense skill maxed out to 375. So go and sit on...
Yeah, so I was memeing, right? Because I said defense didn't matter. Defense these nuts. True. See, here's how you avoid getting killed, is you just don't get hit. If there's like a mob here, let me explain it. So let's say there's a mob, and this is the mob, right? And it's like he's coming. Let me make sure. Is this on cam? So let's say he's coming at you, and you're the caster. He's like this. You're like this. He's like this, you're like this. So every time that he moves, you move farther back. So he never actually, if he's like right here, then you got to be out of the frame. You got to make sure he doesn't hit you at all. And that's the way it works. And so you don't, like, it's easy. Like, if there's a mob running at you, you run away. Like, or you run to the tank. But usually you just run away because you're a caster and half the mobs in BC are slowable. You just kite that bitch until it's dead. It's called kiting, we know? No, people don't know. Like, y'all, oh, we know that. No, they don't. Like, it sounds like so forehead, but it's actually so fivehead. Because people don't understand. This is why, guys, this is why I'm the dungeon master. Yeah. This is why I'm the dungeon master.
A mob and just let him, do melee hits to you and get that defense skill grinded up.
Yeah.
Another thing that is important to bear in mind, I have a bit of a theory. The shatter mechanic on Gruul was dealing insane damage to me on my warlock, right? And despite the fact I was 20 yards away from everyone else, and I noticed that my defense skill was very low, so it may also be very risky having a low defense skill on certain boss mechanics like that. For our fifth point, we have forgetting to loot constantly in dungeons. A number of reasons why you should always be looting constantly in dungeons. First of all, dungeons drop non-green rep items that won't be rolled for, like the Coilfang ornaments.
It's like, so what the guy's talking about is he's talking about fucking Shatter from Gruul. Shatter does physical damage. So if you are a caster and you're getting killed on Gruul, buy an elixir of defense because it increases your armor. And the way that armor works, like armor scales, like it will scale up and then it kind of like levels off. So if you're a caster and you're getting a defense elixir, you're going to gain a larger physical damage reduction comparatively out of that defense elixir than a plate-wearing user would gain out of it. So it's actually super useful to have those if you're dying to Shatter. But the way to solve that is you just don't die to Shatter. Like, it's that simple. Go in there with 10,000 health and you'll be okay.
And marks are Sargeras and some for your signets like we mentioned before. Yeah. And obviously those are really good rep items that you need.
Just don't die.
The only way to loot them is, your personal loot. There's also other things like Neverweave Cloth, and some mobs will actually drop motes, which can obviously sell for a decent amount on the auction house. So,
I'll be accepting those.
Always be looting. Number 6, not waiting for everyone to turn in the flipping Ring of Blood quest. This is so frustrating, and everyone makes this mistake.
Oh, yeah.
So the Ring of Blood is a quest chain.
Yeah, I know exactly what he's talking about.
For truckloads of XP, is definitely worth doing.
Truckloads.
But people are too quick about turning in the quest.
I
and
prefer
ass new one,
loads.
which just messes everything up because you can't take the new quest while still on the last quest, which means every party member ends up out of sync, people fall behind, and then they're forced to kill mobs that they don't need to kill, and the people who get too far ahead, they just leave the group when they're done, right? And then you have to start all over again. Really, really frustrating. So be patient, and every time you're turning in each quest...
Like, I don't even know if I'm going to do Ring of Blood, like, leveling up, because I bet Ring of Blood is going to be so annoying to do. Because there's going to be a million people like trying to do it all at the same time. Yeah, layer? No, it won't matter because like there's gonna be so many people. Like Ring of Blood is like insanely good experience that everybody's gonna want to take advantage of it.
And if you end up a little bit further ahead than the other people, let the others catch up. Let's talk about some Karazhan mistakes. So the first big mistake people make is not bringing a priest for every single run. You will need a Shackle Undead, otherwise it's going to be very difficult for you to do certain trash pulls in the raid, and also some bosses like Morose. This doesn't mean you need like 3 priests per, 25-man raid group, because obviously there's space for Shadow Priests too. You also want a decursor in every group, which can either be...
We are going to bring priests into the raid, okay? Let's just say that. We are going to definitely bring priests into the raid, and the reason for that is because priests do not roll on the same gear that I roll on. So we're going to probably bring like 2 or 3 priests into the raid.
Mage or a druid. Otherwise, again, it's going to be very frustrating and very difficult for you. Paladins, remember that you can use Turn Evil as a very useful CC for when Shackle Undead fails, but obviously be very careful of it because it is a fear. And overall, you want to be extremely careful in the first big room of all the undead.
If you want to Shackle Undead, or sorry, Fear and Turn Undead, that's what I meant to say. I meant to say Turn Undead. You want to clear half of the area that's like the servants' quarters with like all the chefs and shit. And that way, if it runs in there, it'll be okay.
Servants and everything like that, because yeah, that one can be very difficult if people are doing it for the first time. Take your time and pull as little as possible with each pull. For number 8, we have not doing dungeon pre-quests. So the majority of TBC dungeon quests, you can get them very quickly by, the quest hub close to that dungeon, or sometimes even just outside the dungeon. But there are some lesser known dungeon pre-quests from longer chains that actually give really good rewards when you finally finish them. For instance, the extremely long horde quest chain that gives
what was that again? Let me look at that item again. 30 strength. What kind of a piece of shit item is that? It gives 30 strength and defense rating and crit? Bro, that's garbage. Who the fuck wants that? 3 yellow sockets. God, that's garbage.
That gives the quest the Assassin in Hellfire Peninsula, eventually leads into AC and gives a really good loot at the end. You also got I See Dead Draenei and Book of Fell Flames chain that eventually goes into Shadow Labyrinth. So do your research, get the add-on called Atlas Quest, which basically every time you look at any dungeon in Atlas, it will also list all of the quests that you can do in that dungeon. Definitely recommend getting that add-on, doing research into all these cool pre-quests. Don't do AoE damage too early. So this isn't Wrath of the Lich King yet, where every single tank has
Oh shit, what is this, dude? Bro, no, man, no. Here's the thing. If you're with a tank that can't handle you doing AoE damage, kick the warrior out and get a paladin. Because paladins do AoE and warriors tank single target mobs. Like, that's the wombo combo. Is you have warrior tank, paladin tank. Warrior tanks the big dick one hit mobs. Paladin tanks all the little dick little hit mobs. Like, that's the wombo combo, exactly. Now, you can have a feral, which is good because they give you the buff. But at the same time, if you're talking about like that other shit, it's not that big of a deal. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, feral isn't that big. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you want to have, like, the way I look at it is that I look at, like, rating. I don't really look at numerical problems as much as, like, kind of, I look at the structural problems of the raid. So, like, for example, I don't ever worry about, will we have enough DPS? I don't ever worry about, will we have enough health? Will we have enough healing? Because we probably will. It's always mechanics. Mechanics. And if you can have that class that can just completely fucking deal with the mechanic, then it just makes the fight that much fucking easier. Oh hey, look, Thunderclap gives shit for threat. Yeah, dude, warriors suck for AoE threat. Even with Thunder Fury, they just suck. Like, they're not as bad as people make them out to be, but paladins are just so much better. Like, that's all there is to it. They're just simply so much better. No, there are mechanics in TBC. There's like 3 or 4 mechanics in TBC, which is more than 2 or 3 in Classic. And every mechanic matters. You have to do the mechanics right. Don't move during Flame Wreath if the raid blows up. Yeah, you need to do it right. However, if you don't, it's not the end of the world, right? But many times you have to make sure you have the right classes. If you have the right classes to solve problems, the game becomes 1,000 times easier. That's like one thing you need to know about TBC, is bring the class, not the player.
AoE damage and their threat is massively increased, okay? You need to get your Protection Paladin 5 seconds before you can start to use your AoE DPS. And the reason why I say Protection Paladin is because if a tank is a Protection Warrior or a Druid tank,
he's a loser.
Just forget about it. Maybe do 1 Seed of Corruption in the middle of the fight, but if you keep doing Seed of Corruption, you keep doing Blizzard, you are just going to pull aggro, unless you have improved Blizzard. Obviously, that provides for slow, which smooths out the experience a lot and makes it possible to do AoE pulls of a Warrior or Druid tank. But without that improved Blizzard talent from the Mage, I would just not even bother.
Having a bad time.
For our last point, for the love of God, avoid those Felboars, okay? They're the most irritating mob in the world, because they don't just come up to you and deal damage and have a chance of dismounting you. They're extremely likely to dismount you because they charge at you the second you are in their aggro circle, which it doesn't actually take. You'd have to be that close to them for you to be in their aggro circle. Then all of a sudden you're getting charged by a big boar, he's whacking you in the back, and you get demounted. So avoid them as much as you can. My recommendation is, if you have to get near one,
avoid the Porky Boys.
Face one face to face. let the charge go off.
Thank God we figured that out.
They shouldn't be able to demount you if you're facing them, because you have to wait for them, you know, for them to actually daze you, and they can't daze you if you're facing them. So face them, soak that charge, and then jump away while rotating your character in the middle of the jump to be facing the Felboar to try and get an escape going. But majority of the time you are just going to have to demount and kill him. Anyway guys, that's where I'm going to end the video there. Please.
I like how that was like a legitimate tip. It wasn't like a meme or anything. It was like, actually, yeah, avoid Felboars. Like, actually,
Subscribe
like, yeah,
for
no
more
meme,
videos
avoid
like
them.
this coming very, very soon. My name is
Get away from
them.
them.
To the next video. Ciao.
Here's the thing, right? Is that, here's what I see. This shit doesn't really matter. Like, a lot of this, it's not that big of a deal. Like, I'm gonna pop off. I'm gonna be able to get up to max level so fast.